Let's talk about Sir Mells, Oregon's newest commit in the 2022 class, the 6'5", 327-pound defensive lineman from Liberty High School in Henderson, Nevada, committed to Oregon during this opening weekend of visits in June. And he's the first commit to join the Ducks since Texas wide receiver Stephon Johnson committed back at the end of March. Mells becomes the second defensive lineman to hop on board for Oregon, joining San Diego's Grayson Halton along the defensive line. I talked to Mells multiple times before he made his commitment, and he told me that he had a great relationship with Halton. And I think that, coming out to Eugene really just solidified all the factors that were falling into place for him and for Oregon in his recruitment. So, it just shows you that, recruiting is a game of relationships, and that's always at play. We talked about Johnson and how he committed to Oregon at the end of March. He was the first guy to congratulate Mells on his commitment. He was out here in Eugene for his first trip to Eugene. He committed to Oregon sight unseen, but he was able to, take pictures with Mario Cristobal. Also, Brian McClendon, the wide receiver coach that he'll be playing under when he gets to Eugene and becomes a Duck officially. So that's really big. And, Johnson's really been one of the biggest peer recruiters for the Ducks since making his decision, and I think Mells falls right alongside him in that regard. He's just got great energy, and I think he's going to be a big peer recruiter for the Ducks. His commitment, I think, is just going to open the floodgates for a crazy summer. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see a bunch of guys committing, right off the bat, but I think that it just shows that once the staff can get guys here to Eugene, they can, really capitalize and turn them into commits. If everything kind of goes the way that they want it to. And I also think this is really good for the Ducks because it helps them get momentum heading into the summer. And at the end of July, they're going to have their Saturday Night Live recruiting event, which is the biggest recruiting event on the calendar year for the Ducks, aside from the spring game, which, nobody was able to attend that aside from media due to health and safety protocols. So that just shows you that this event is shaping up to be even bigger for the Ducks here in 2021. Moving right along, I want to talk about pipeline states, specifically Nevada, where Mells is coming from. Oregon has done a great job of hitting those traditional pipeline states like California. In the past, that's obviously a huge one for them. They're making inroads in the Southeast as well. And then now we have Nevada. Nevada is really slept on. When we're taking a look, take a step back for a second and just look at the college football landscape, the transfer portal has been a huge topic this offseason. You're seeing Eric Gilbert commit to Georgia, and everyone's freaking out about their offense, but a guy they already had there in the fold was Darnell Washington, a massive freak athlete tight end who's from Nevada, and now he's playing his football in the SEC, but the Ducks were able to keep Mells on the West Coast playing in the Pac-12. So when we're looking at other big names in Nevada, you have Anthony Jones, who's teammates with Sir Mells at Liberty, and after I talked to Mells following his commitment, he said, I want to play with Anthony. I'd love to get him alongside me. But Jones was in Austin for an official visit to Texas and ended up committing to the Longhorns and shutting down his recruitment. So it just shows you how big it is that these guys are able to take trips again, and then they can get a huge impression made on them and ultimately hop on board with their respective schools. But he's not the only big name in Nevada. We have some other really, really talented players, such as safety Zion Branch out of Bishop Gorman High School. Ducks are working to get him on campus for a visit. You also have his teammate, Cyrus Moss, who was just in Eugene for his official visit. One of the biggest names that the Ducks hosted for opening weekend. I have a very detailed story about his official visit on Ducks Digest as well, so you can go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. And the big names just keep rolling. Robbie Snelling, a dual sport star, also from Nevada. He was in town for his official visit, and I'd wager that the Ducks lead for Snelling and Moss. This is opening weekend, so things can change very easily. I want to go on record saying that. I think they lead, but it takes a lot of work to stay on these guys since they have a lot of big-time schools coming after them. And then the last name I want to talk about in Vegas, specifically in Nevada, I should say, is running back Jaden Ott. For those that don't remember, he was formerly committed to Oregon, but decided to open things back up. And we don't really know if the Ducks are going to take a running back in the 2022 class. They have a loaded running back room right now. But, in college football nowadays, it's really important to load up on talent at the skill position. So that's really big. Just, my final thoughts here on Sir Mells. I think he's going to be a huge peer recruiter. He, reinforces Mario Cristobal's recruiting philosophy, building the class from the inside out, winning at the point of attack. That's what he wants to do, and he's an offensive line guy. He's an offensive lineman himself. Like, why would he not want to do that? So that's huge. Mells, first of probably multiple commits for the Ducks this summer. He's close to Eugene in Nevada. That's only a short flight away. The staff will be able to get him to come back out, I'm sure, on big recruiting weekends. And, the more commits that you can have in town while you're hosting big names, the better. They'll say, hey, I see what this guy's building, and you guys we want to have you on board here, be part of this special class. So big moves for the Ducks, adding Sir Mells and starting off a big summer.